Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Myself Seema Tambe, and today's topic which I'm going to discuss is how to balance chemical equation. Okay, so as you can see it here, okay, how to balance chemical equation, or you can say chemical reaction. Chemical reaction and chemical equation is basically one and the same. Okay, so here what I have took as an example is burning of a magnesium ribbon. Okay, so what happens burning of magnesium ribbon? So the magnesium reacts with oxygen and you get is what? Magnesium oxide. Okay, so if at all you are writing a chemical equation, okay, in a word form, okay, as you can see it here, if a equation is written in the word form, then it is called as a word equation. Okay, so word equation is what? The equation which is written in word form, just like you can see it here, magnesium plus oxygen gives magnesium oxide, then this particular reaction is called as a word equation. Okay, then the substance that undergo chemical reaction. What are the substances which undergoing chemical reaction? So these are the two substances which are undergoing chemical reaction. That means they are reacting with each other. Okay, so the substance that undergo chemical reactions are what? Magnesium and oxygen. Okay, so and the reacting substance is called as what? Reactants. Okay, so the above reaction which involves the reaction of a magnesium plus oxygen, this particular magnesium plus oxygen reaction is called, or this magnesium and oxygen are together called as what? Reactants. Why? Because they are reacting. Okay, and you're going to get a product. Okay, so the above reaction is what? The magnesium plus oxygen, this whole which is on left hand side is called as what? Reactants. Okay, and the new product which is forming after this reactant reacting is called as a product. Okay, so and the word equation is what? The equation, if you're writing in word, then it is called as a word equation. Okay, then this reactants are what? Magnesium and oxygen. Okay, these are reacting and you're getting product. So the magnesium and oxygen are reactants and they are written on left hand side, while the product which is forming is on right hand side. Okay, so this reaction, this plus sign basically is the sign of a reacting, two reactants reacting. Okay, and this product which is forming. Okay, and this arrow says, the arrow directs the reaction. Okay, so but this, as you can see it here, it is extremely, it's not easy basically, or it's not concise to write this word equation. So instead what we do, instead we write it in a chemical equation form. Why? Because it is extremely difficult. As you can see it here, the word equation is like extremely difficult to, every time you cannot write a whole word like as magnesium, oxygen reacting and giving you magnesium oxide. Okay, so instead what it is easy is like, instead we use chemical equation. Why? Because it is more concise. Okay, so hence we don't, instead of using word equation, we use chemical equation. Why? Because it is more precise. Okay, so this is the equation. Okay, the word equation was like, you can see it was extremely difficult, but hence instead what we use is, we use a chemical equation. Okay, as you can see it here. Okay, the magnesium which is reacting with oxygen and giving magnesium oxide. Okay, so this is what in a symbolic form you can say. Okay, so it is like very much easy to understand. Okay, so and it is more concise to write. So it is very important. The next thing is what? It is very important that a chemical equation should be balanced. Okay, it is always, just like I said in the previous video as well, that the chemical equation should always be balanced. Okay, why it should be balanced? Because according to the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so law of a conservation mass, which says that the number of a reactant should always be number of a product. Why this chemical equation should be balanced? Because it's according to the law of a conservation of mass, which says that mass can neither be created or nor can be destroyed in a chemical reaction. Okay, so that means the number of reactants should always be equal to the product. How? Why? because depending on the law of conservation of mass says so. Okay, so hence always the chemical equation after writing you need to balance it. Okay, then this is like an example. Okay, so why it is like there are basically two examples which I am explaining. One, this is the example where you need not to balance the equation. Why? Because it is already balanced. Okay, now if it is balanced, then you need not to balance it. Okay, so this is one example of a already balanced equation. Okay, and there is another example which I am going to show you which is unbalanced equation. So this is about an example of a balanced equation. So where I took is like what? So in word equation, if you are writing it, the equation, then it will be what? Zinc is reacting with sulfuric acid and giving you what? Zinc sulfate and hydrogen. Okay, so this is in, as you can see it is in a word form. Okay, so it is called as a word equation, but just like I said, it is difficult. You can't every time write in a words. Okay, so instead what you do, it's more concise to write in a equation. Okay, so zinc H2SO4 plus ZnO4 plus H2. Okay, it's very easy to write, right? Okay, now next thing is what you need to do is you need to check the elements. What are the elements there? Zinc, hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen. Okay, so these are basically steps they have given how to basically balance the equation. Okay, so once you know this step, you need not to write all this step. You just directly balance it. Okay, this is just to make you understand how to balance the chemical equation. Okay, so number of element is what? Zinc. Okay, you need to list the element. Okay, what are those elements? Zinc, hydrogen, sulfur and oxygen. These are the elements. So write it down, list it down, and then these are what? Reactants, and this is product. So number of atom in reactant which are on left hand side is what? Let's see. Zinc is how much? 1. Hydrogen is 2. Sulfur is 1. Oxygen is 4. So that's what we have written here. Then the number of atoms of a product which are on right hand side, which is how much? C. Product. Zinc is 1. Hydrogen is 2. Then sulfur is 1 and oxygen is 4. So it's like you can see it very clearly that zinc is 1 in product as well. 2 in reactant, 2 in product. 1 in reactant, 1 in product, and 4 in reactant, 4 in product. Okay, so it is like already balanced, means it's same on the left hand side as well as right hand side, or the reactants is equal to are equal to product. Okay, so number of atoms of a reactant are equal to the number of atom of a product. So it's a balanced equation already, so you need not to balance it. Okay, so it's a balanced equation, so hence you need not to balance it. Okay, so this is an example of an already balanced equation. Okay, so as it is, if at all it is balanced, you should not balance it because it is already balanced, right? Okay, so it's an example of a already balanced equation. Now next example which is we are going to see is how to balance an unbalanced equation. Okay, so this is an example of how to balance an unbalanced equation. Okay, so for that what we equation or the reaction we have written is Fe, which is iron, reacting with water, and you're getting ferric oxide and hydrogen. Okay, so Fe reacting with H2O, Fe3O4 and hydrogen. Okay, so first thing, these are the steps. Okay, how to balance the equation. Okay, so step 1 is what? To balance chemical equation, obviously what you need to do, you just need to write the equation first, and in order to make it more specific, they have just drawn it in a box. Okay, as you can see it here. So first step is what? Write the equation, or basically write the equation and just draw a box around it. Okay, so to make it more specific. Second thing is what? Previous also, like example we have seen. Second is step will be what? List the number of atoms, okay, of a different element which are present here. What are the elements which are present in the reaction is what? Iron, hydrogen, oxygen. Okay, so iron is how much? 1. Okay, in the reactant. Hydrogen is how much? 2. Okay, in the reactant. Oxygen is how much? 1. Okay, in the reactant. Then Fe is 3 in the product, oxygen is 4 in the product, and hydrogen is 2 in the product. Okay, now see, as you can see it clearly, Fe is 1 in reactant, but Fe is 3 in product, so you need to balance it. Okay, hydrogen is balanced for time being, but oxygen is, it's not balanced, so you need to balance this equation. First, what you need to do, you need to write the equation. Second, list the number of atoms or the elements, okay, the number of reactants and the number of a product. Okay, then third step is what? Start balancing with that compound. Okay, what third step is? Start balancing with that compound which contain maximum number of elements. Okay, start balancing with that compound which contain maximum number of elements. Okay, start balancing with that compound which contain maximum number of element. Okay, start balancing with that compound. Third step is what? Start balancing with that compound which contain maximum number of element. So it is what? Ferric oxide. Okay, so we took Fe3O4, and what we did is we started with balancing with that compound which contain maximum, which is what? 4, which is oxygen. Okay, so we start balancing oxygen. Atom of oxygen initial is how much? It's see, it's 1 in H2O. Okay, and it's 4 in Fe3O4, which is in product. So to balance, what do you need to do? First, it was 1 in H2. Okay, what we are balancing is oxygen. Okay, so it's 1 before, and its product, it is 4. So what you need to do, you just multiply it by 4. Okay, so the 2 will be balanced. Okay, and once it is done, then you need to write the equation and balance it. Okay, so Fe for H2O, okay, Fe3O4 and H2. Now oxygen is 4, so you need to just balance it. So write it here 4. Okay, so earlier it was what? Fe plus H2O gives Fe3O4. Okay, Fe plus 4 plus H2 plus Fe3O4 plus H2. This is the equation. Okay, now we need to, like, 4 is here, so it's not 4 here, so you need to balance it. So what we did is basically we just multiplied it. Okay, F is equal to 4H2O, Fe3O4 plus H2. Okay, so third step is basically what? Start balancing with that compound which contain maximum number of atoms. Okay, so your maximum is what? Which is that compound which contain maximum number of atom, which is ferric oxide, and which is the element oxygen. So we started with oxygen. Okay, then fourth step is what? As we have already balanced oxygen, now next step is what? Or which is fourth step is what? Fe and hydrogen are to be balanced. Okay, so what we did, we already balanced oxygen. What we got? This equation, Fe plus 4H2O plus Fe3O4 plus H2. Oxygen is balanced. Second thing, now what we need to do is, you can take either ion for balancing or hydrogen for balancing. Okay, so I took here is hydrogen. So atom of hydrogen initial to balance, in reactant, in product. Okay, so hydrogen is how much? 8 in H2O. Okay, and so what we are basically taking here is hydrogen for balancing. Okay, so it was how much? See, it is how much? 4 2s are 8. So 8 in H2O in reactant. Okay, and here, as you can see, hydrogen, it is only 2. So how it will become 8? Obviously by multiplying it by 2. So we multiply it by 2. Okay, so what it will become? So now the reaction will be what? Fe plus 4H2O, this was already there, O, plus Fe3O4. Okay, so as we need to balance hydrogen, so what we did is basically we multiplied by 4. Okay, so what the equation become is Fe plus 4H2O plus Fe3O4 for 4H2O. Okay, understood? So what we did is basically we balanced the hydrogen. First what we did, we balanced oxygen, then we took hydrogen for balancing part. Okay, now as you can see it here, it is 8 in H2O, that is 8 in reactant, but it is only 2 in the product, so we need to balance it. How we did? By multiplied by 4. So it becomes 8. Okay, so the reaction again you need to write it down and just balance it. Okay, Fe plus 4H2O plus Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Understood? So this is we balanced hydrogen here. Okay, now what is remaining to be balanced is iron. Okay, so let's just check this equation. Fe3. Okay, let's check other things. 4H2 it's balanced. 4 oxygen, it's balanced. But iron is 3 in the product, while iron is how much? It's only 1 in the reactant. So what you need to do is you need to balance iron. Okay, so now third element is what is remaining. So what we did in step 5 is examine above equation and take third element for balancing. Okay, so we took iron, atoms of iron in reactant and in product. So initially it was how much? 1 in Fe in the reactant, and in product is how much? C. It was Fe in reactant 1. Okay, and in product it is 3. So what we need to do? Obviously we need to multiply it by 3. Okay, so to balance it. Okay, so that's what we did it here. Now write the equation again and you can just balance it. See, this is the equation. Fe plus 4H2O plus Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Okay, then now it is not balanced here. Okay, so what you need to do? You need to just multiply it by 3. Okay, understood. Now let's just check whether the number of the reactant and the number of a product is same or what. Okay, let's check. 3Fe, 3Fe. 4O, 4O. 4H2, 4H2. Okay, now it's a balanced equation. Okay, so step 6 is what? Now check the whole equation. Okay, now check the whole equation whether it is balanced or what. Okay, now let's just check it again. 3Fe, 3Fe. 4H2, 4H2. 4 oxygen, 4 oxygen. It's a balanced equation. Okay, so as per like what? As per the law of conservation of mass, which says that number of reactant should always be equal to number of a product. Okay, hence we did all this balancing part. Okay, now as you can see it here, the number of reactants are equal to number of a product. So it's a balanced equation. Fine. And step 7 is all about, whether that iron is in solid state, whether that water is in gaseous state or a liquid state or a solid state is what you need to write it down. So step 7 is what? Write symbol of a physical state, which is what? Fe is solid, H2O is gas, Fe3O4 is solid and H2O is gas. Okay, so why we are balancing this chemical equation is because according to law of conservation of mass, which says that number of reactant should always be equal to number of a product. Okay, fine. So whenever you come across any of the equation, what you need to do? You just need to balance it if at all it is not balanced. Okay, so if you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.